Hello, good evening everyone. I'm Tracey Taylor and welcome to the Maastricht Edition YouTube channel and another of our extended interviews. While I think about it, feel free to click that subscribe button. Now, today I have the pleasure of being joined by Marie Lormeau, filmmaker and content creator. Salut Marie.
Hello, bonjour.
Bonjour. I will not embarrass myself by butchering your language any further. Thank you so much for joining us here this evening. Now, we have a lot of fun and very interesting stuff to get through tonight. As mentioned in the intro, you're a filmmaker and content creator. But before we get into all of that, tell us all a little bit about you, where you come from, and why you're here in the Netherlands.
Okay, well, I'm from Perpignan in France. It's a town next to the Spanish border. I think it's 2 hours or so from Barcelona. So I studied there and I graduated there, and then I wanted to live in another country because I studied English, and where I was from it was not very useful. So I decided to live to the Netherlands because my brother already lived there, and I found a job there in Maastricht. And I got lucky to meet the right people and to actually get into the video content world through the back door, kind of. So I stayed in Maastricht because everything kind of worked itself together. So yeah,
it fit together. How many years are you here now?
4 years. Yeah.
Okay, so a fairly good length of time. Nice. Now, you mentioned you're getting into the video side of things through the back door. Is this a little bit via your connection with RTV Maastricht, or is this a little bit later on in your career path?
That was actually at the same time, but through different people. For RTV, I went to the Drementi funny story to get my driving license renewed because I lost my handbag when I arrived in town, and so I had to remake some documents. And when I was entering the building, I saw a technical team with RTV on their shirt, and I was like, okay, so there is a local radio television channel, and I just sent an email asking if they need manpower. And because of course I didn't study journalism, I was like, well, I have some skills, maybe you can use them, maybe I can volunteer for you guys. And I had that interview, and I started doing podcasts and interviews and stuff like this. And for the movie scene, it was a bit the same. I met a friend of mine who's producing movies. She's a producer, and she needed someone who spoke French for a project of hers. And so I ended up helping co-write the script. And then you keep the connection, and you work on your own things, and you help them on other things, and that's how you make it. Yeah.
What a great story. It's so nice to have this sort of alternative routes and connections that all sort of fit together at one point. It's wonderful, yeah. And you mentioned you're here now 4 years, and you've been busy with this side of filmmaking, reporting, creating, all this side of things. What is the film scene like here in Maastricht and in Limburg in the Netherlands? Do you find that it's a very large scene, or is it a more niche market?
Well, I wouldn't know about the rest of the country because I've so far stayed in the south quite a bit. I think it's quite broad because I've seen costume pieces, or social work, or sometimes short that are done in one take. So it's definitely a different kind of very diverse scene, I think. And I think there is a lot of big creative drive here in Limburg, but maybe because we are next to the borders of other countries, maybe because we have a lot of students, maybe because it's a very lively area, and I feel that it's very culturally enhanced, not just movies but also other things. So that definitely helps when you go out for event in town. You can meet people that are in this field because that's where they thrive a bit. So
yes,
it's quite interesting. Yeah.
Very exciting. It's really, I can relate to what you say, living in Maastricht as well. I recognize what you say. And of course, here you mentioned about being surrounded by borders. This also opens up different languages and so on and cultures, which is only a wonderful thing, right? Now, you mentioned a little bit about the movie scene and about different things that are happening. I wanted to quickly zoom in on one thing that happened recently in Eindhoven, and you were part of a 48-hour film project. And what's very exciting is you actually went ahead and won second prize in this project. Can you tell us a little bit more about this? It's quite an interesting concept.
Yes, the 48-hour. This year it was worldwide, I think. So basically, what happened is what in every country there were competition, and the first place of each country could go ahead and compete worldwide.
Wow.
Those it's not the first time I was doing a 48, and those are very interesting, I think. But basically the concept is that you receive a bunch of requirements for making a film. So a fixed genre, a fixed sentence, some props that you have to use, a few requirements like this. And then you have 40 hours to produce a film, from writing to filming to editing and color grading, and basically every step of a production. So it can be very stressful and very hectic, as you can imagine.
Yes.
If you have the right team, it's actually very very inspiring. I think I was lucky every time. I've done it 3 times to have a great team with me, and we always went through, because sometimes that's also one of the risks, is that you write and you film and you work for 2 days straight, and in the end the project is not finished, and you can't compete, right? Because you don't have a finished product. It's quite an interesting concept I didn't know existed before I arrived in the Netherlands, which is weird because it exists also in France.
Who knows?
But I really enjoyed it. But again, you have to have the right people to work with you, because it's such a compact and intense workload.
Yeah, and you're like stuck with each other for a really short fixed period of time, trying to get your deadline done and everything, right? But it really exciting. And the movie is called Scheen Tide, right? Do I say it correctly?
Yes.
My does, yeah, okay, which is short time or something translated as?
Relative time.
Relative time.
Relative. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
No, but it leads me nicely, because you're not a stranger to premieres and seeing your movies on the big screen, because you've also done a very large project. Now, excuse my French pronunciation, but you made a movie called Gros, Yeux, Petit, Vontra. Whew, I hope that was correct.
That's called Les yeux plus gros que le ventre. And
okay.
Yes, and that's an expression. It's basically I think you have the same in English. You know, when you want it's like when you are very hungry and you want to eat, but you get the wrong proportion and you get way too much food in your plate. That's the concept. So you have bigger eyes than your stomach.
Exactly right. In English, your eyes are bigger than your belly. So there it translates completely. But this is quite a heavy topic, because it's a movie about bulimia, right?
Yes, indeed. It's bulimia, nervosa, and eating disorder, but more specifically bulimia, indeed.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and what inspired you to make a movie about this subject matter?
Well, it was a quite fairly personal movie, and I think especially nowadays we have a very weird perception of feeding. It's very difficult to know what's healthy, what's not, but also to force eating behavior on ourselves. And it's something that actually is quite trivialized, I think, nowadays. Dieting and cutting something out of your diet, or just straight deciding that sugar is not good for you, or deciding that carbs is not good for you, and going ahead to achieve something that maybe you don't really need to achieve, and then you go within your own head and maybe it gets out of proportion. And because it's something that's a bit trivialized, people don't really realize that it can happen to them, not at the extent that is described in the movie, because there's bulimia nervosa at a very extreme scope, specter in this film, with purging and, very regular habits. But it's always diseases that are a bit difficult to relate also when you don't have them. For people who don't have depression, people who have depression are really like, stop whining, just be happy, be optimistic. And it's a bit like this with eating disorder. Oh, why don't you eat? You're very slim. You should, your body's very good, and making you feel bad about it when you already feel bad about it,
To start, it's such a psychological thing, isn't it? And also these days, maybe it's not directly related, but this world of social media standards that we all live with now, where unless you're a size this and everything else, that for many people it can really be a difficult time. What were the main challenges you found with approaching this subject? I mean, you did everything from writing to casting to directing to filming. I guess again, having a very strong team around you was very important.
Yeah, I didn't film. I had my DOP, but I did all the other things. It was indeed difficult for me to properly portray it, because, first when I started producing the film, looking for funds, I was asked a lot if it was a documentary. And so in my further down the road in my distribution, in my portrayal of the film, I was very clear that it was a fiction, because my take on it is my own take, and it's things that I've learned. And of course, I documented myself beforehand, but I didn't want to make it a general truth, like the only truth to it. I just wanted to portray some symptoms, so that maybe people who have it without knowing it, or who have people in their surrounding that have it, might be able to see something and be like, maybe I should be concerned. It was more about representation rather than explanation. And so I wanted to be as, of course, as objective as possible also.
Yeah, so a challenge for you guys, I can imagine. And how long the movie, how long does it run? Because it aired at a local cinema theatre, right? Once it was completed, yeah?
Yes, we did a premiere in Sittard in March this year, just before the lockdown. I was actually scared that I would not be able to do it, but it was just before everything happened.
Right.
And now I stopped. I was supposed to do distribution after that, and I stopped because of everything and all the festivals were cancelled. I started doing it again this month actually. So we'll see where we can get from there. And I think once I'm done with the distribution, I'll probably put it online.
Keep us posted. I think it's something, a message and a story that I guess needs to be told. And certainly if you have an empathetic eye towards the subject matter, it's helpful. You mentioned that this all happened a little bit before lockdown. How has lockdown impacted your life and work as a filmmaker and content creator? Has it helped inspire you more, or has it kind of dampened your spirit a little?
Well, let's say it was difficult for some project, for example, to go on, of course, and some got rescheduled. Actually, I just this weekend I had a shoot that was rescheduled because it was supposed to happen in April. So it's starting slowly to get back on track. So that's good. Practically speaking, it was of course terrible because you couldn't shoot, you couldn't organize anything. Some film festivals were indeed cancelled. So some of my colleagues who had made a film just before and were really looking forward their premiere and were very bummed. For me, it helped me because I started writing in my free time.
Yes.
Writing more and more. But of course I didn't produce anything because I couldn't. So we'll see if I can do anything now. We did a contest. There was a contest organized by the Film Hub Ciné-Sud in Erlin. And I think that was a great idea because it kept the filmmaker of the area busy during the lockdown. And the concept was indeed, it was a quarantine film story contest. And the idea was to either write a script that is related to the quarantine or make a movie during quarantine about quarantine. So that was quite nice to work on that. Keep each other creative.
I can imagine. I think for people like you with all this creativity inside you, you need an outlet for it. So often things like lockdown might be a little bit difficult. But how wonderful that you were inspired to start writing again. Do you find that you're drawn most to writing, filming, directing? Is there one part of the whole process that is the closest to your heart?
Yeah, I like the structuring of the story. So the writing and the editing I really like because you put the action together. I like directing actors, but when you direct, you don't just direct actors. So the rest is a bit more complicated.
Yes.
Definitely the writing and the editing. I like putting the story together. It's in the right order. It's something I really enjoy.
Yeah, making the finished product as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's nice. I suspect you're also a little bit of a perfectionist, so it's probably nice that you can tweak things towards the end and give it your stamp.
Yeah, I tend to micromanage everything. But actually, on a film, when it's your project, you kind of have to, because even if you trust your crew, and I really did, it's always nice to sit with them, for example, in post-production, to just also to be there, and that they're not the only one working on it. Especially if it's your project, it's always nice to be there when they do it. And it's always nice to have a dialogue. Also, when I was editing the film, I took several attempts because I waited for people to watch it and tell me. It's always easier to have this kind of dialogue with the rest of the crew as well.
Of course, it makes sense to have that input. If people want to perhaps collaborate with you even, and perhaps get your advice or use your services or kind of book you to make a movie or a script for them, is there some way people can reach out to you? Do you have website, Facebook and so on?
Yes, of course. I have my professional page on Facebook and Instagram under reeledin. It's the name of my company. I also have my website, reeledin.nl. Definitely on my website or on social media, so Instagram and Facebook. I'm reachable always.
Fantastic. Well, you never know if someone's watching back this interview and they hear where you're located and you're speaking perfect English, fluent French. I mean, they're Dutch probably as well at this point. So it would be awesome to give you a call and reach out. You never know where that might lead.
Yes, they're more than welcome.
Wonderful. Well, Marie, merci beaucoup. Thank you so much. I want to thank you for You're so welcome. Thank you so much for taking some time to be with us here on the Maastricht Edition YouTube channel. And on behalf of all of the team, wishing you ongoing and continued success. And who knows, I might see you in Heerlen Theatre in September for the latest premiere. So looking forward to that. Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, you can. No problem.